Hey everyone! So today we're talking about white balance. Let's get to it. Okay, so all light has a temperature, or how warm or yellowish it is, or how cool or bluish it is. Color temperature is measured in kelvins, K, not Kevin's, kelvins, there's an L in there, and it refers directly to the light source. So let's check out this chart here. And at first, our eyes are an amazing thing. We look around and all of these color temperatures are happening all around us, but our eyes are automatically basically correcting for them. And so we are seeing our brains are seeing what we think are the correct colors. So, like, for instance, indoors, if you've ever taken a photo indoors and you're like, why is it so yellow? It's because the light bulbs that we use indoors are generally more of a warmer color temperature. The warmest color temperature is like fire and candlelight. So that's all the way over here. Then here's household tungsten, what I was just talking about, our lights inside of our houses. And that's also around the same as sunrise and sunset. Then we have some different types of bulbs going on over here. And right in the middle, white light is usually around the light that we see around noon on a clear, bright day. It's also the same as what comes out of a flash. So it's really good to know. So if you're ever shooting with a flash, but you're in a room that has orange lights, you're going to notice a big difference between your subject, what the flash is hitting, and the background. The background's probably going to look kind of yellowish or orangish. And this isn't really what we do in this class, but you'll learn this in other classes. You can actually use gels on flashes to change the color of the flash to match the ambient light around you. Okay, then we get some bluish light going with cloudy, overcast, and shade. So if you step in, if it's a bright day and you're in the sunlight, you're going to have usually like this whitish, maybe a little bit of a warmth to it. But if you just step over into some shade real quick, that light is actually going to be a bit more blue. So this is all really important things to know when it comes to photography and in Photoshop, because we can correct for these things. Okay, so white balance refers to your camera settings and the camera settings applied in post-processing. And when I say post-processing, I mean editing. It adds more or less yellow/blue or magenta/green or cyan/red to achieve the balanced look of around 5000K. And when I say yellow/blue, it's usually you're going to be going one way or another. They counteract each other. So if your image is a little bit too blue, you add a little bit of yellow. If it's a little bit too yellow, you add a little bit of blue. And the same with these other sliders up here. Now, sometimes we want light to look a specific way because it does impart a mood or a vibe or a feeling. So for example, yellow, which is something that we usually get at shooting at sunset, it feels happier. So you'll see that, and we're actually going to be talking about this more when we get to color grading, how much color actually does affect our mood, and it's used all of the time in photography, movies, animation, everywhere. Sometimes we might want it to look more blue. Blue usually imparts a feeling of being in a colder climate or even a gloomy type of feeling. So if you're trying to communicate with your images and trying to, create an image that is maybe trying to say that you're sad or your subject is sad, then you might want to add a little bit more blue so that you can really communicate that to your audience. And this is really a robust creative tool in photography. So most editing programs and apps let you take control after the photo is taken with sliders. Some apps you might see that they'll be called sliders like warmth or deep blue, white balance, tint. White balance is usually means a yellow to blue scale. Tint usually means magenta to green. And that's one of the great things about working in Photoshop is we get an extra option of that cyan to red. So let's take a look at these photos here. Now in these photos, this is the same photo, but I've just played with the sliders a bit, just to play with the mood or the feeling that that is happening. So here is the correct exposure, where everything is balanced out for that 5000K white light type of look. And here you can see there's a differences. We have more cyan, magenta, more yellow, more blue, more green, more red. You can see that the red and the magenta, they're pretty close colors, and these two look kind of the same. The cyan and green is the same, you know, not the same, but very close feeling. And then, you know, using a combination of these can really help you take control of what's going on. Now, another great thing about Photoshop is if you're using the color balance adjustment layer, you can also control the tone specifically for different tonalities within your image. For example, the highlights, the midtones, and the dark tones. So you can add different color balances to the different areas, the different tonalities of your image. All right, so you know, that's the basics of white balance. It really takes some time and practice to really be able to get our eyes used to it and really be able to see what's going on. Another important aspect is also color calibration. All of our devices can shift in tone. So you can be thinking that you're actually correcting white balance, but if your screen has gone to more of a warmer side, then you might be over correcting. So that's a good reason to think about color calibration tools and softwares for your specific device. All right, guys, so for the final part of this lecture, I actually want you guys to watch this video here. It is an awesome video of that shows they have all of these different lights set at these different color temperatures, and they go through and change the white balance setting on the camera, so you could see how changing the white balance when you're shooting will actually affect the lights that are being put out. After you've gone through that, make sure you come back down here to these study questions. These study questions are specifically what you will be tested on the midterm and finals. So it's a really good idea after every lecture, reading assignment and such, to come down here, read through these. If you can answer these, you're good to go. If you're having some issues answering them, it might be a good idea to go back through the lecture and read through or watch through once again. All right, guys.